Artificial intelligence. It is not what you think it is. So artificial intelligence is not find the cat in the picture, find something in the picture, do something with images. It's not large language model, analyze a sentence, that kind of thing. These are just applications. To me, it is to perform any action by the computer in a way that you would, in context, and with your complete trust. So we look at computer. Is this a number? What we have is the USA way of representing a number with a comma for the thousand separator and a period for the decimal. But then we have other representations for a number. In Argentina, they do a period for thousand separators and a comma for the decimal. Or some compilers or other text values have spaces. And maybe with a comma, maybe with a period. Maybe it's comma and then a blank. I mean, for you, these are all the same. It's the same value. But for the computer, these are all different. We don't know what it represents. We don't want to make assumptions. So numbers in text is what we're looking at. How do we know it's a number? This is really what I'm trying to demonstrate the issues with intelligence. So what we really want is numbers in our text to be searchable and parsable. I need to know that that's a number. It would be nice. From the computer standpoint. For humans, we overlook these little trivial capabilities. But for the computer, it's very, very important. And it's a question of knowing, not guessing. We don't want to guess. We don't want the computer to guess. And so we want to come up with ways that we can do this. So we want to change our computer text representations. Currently, we think we're still printing the Gutenberg Bible, which was 1455. So our technology here that we're still using is 550 years old. So we need to change our fonts, our keyboard, which is 170 years old, and our character sets, which is even older, and our editors that still work in this environment. Here's my first design of numbers to the computer that we could put in text. And so we could use special characters to represent the thousands place or the decimal place. And here we could change it around and use a different one for a different purpose. And here's blanks and a period. And here's a comma with a blank. And there are probably 10,000 more variations on how to represent a number by different countries, different people, different projects, personal preferences. So in our little example here, we have 3 different thousands separators. We have it's going to be either a comma, period, or space. And we have 3 different decimal separators, a comma, period, or space. And so we use these 2 characters to look like a comma, but one is a thousand separator and one's a decimal point. And then we do the same thing for a period and the same thing for a space. And these all represent the same value, yet displayed differently. This design does not help searching. Maybe a little. But it does help parsing, so it knows that separators have specific purpose. It does simplify character display. Okay, that was design 1. Here's another design that tells us which character to put for the thousand separators and which character we put the decimal separator. So a 1 is a comma and a 2 is a period. So every number would have a prefix to it. These are all hidden. These are control characters, so you don't see them in the editor. It's just that the editor is doing this for you. And so this is very searchable. It's a little extra logic on the editor's part. So we define the number tag. So we put this information in as what control character do we use, And then what character do we put in for the comma, period, and space, or other characters. And the editor does all the work. And so here's our design 3. So instead of telling it what it is, we just do it by nationality. So in the US, we do commas and periods. In Argentina, it's periods and commas. And then Poland may have some other format. So this is very searchable. And we define then the control characters that we're using in the design. I'm using design 3, so it knows to look for that was just numbers. Then we look at other things that we have to account for. We have dates, and we have about 180 different date formats. The names of the months, the format, is it day, month, year, or year, month, day, and case-sensitive text. So here, these are not searchable. You have to either lowercase them all or uppercase them or do something to do case-sensitive searches and parsing. And we have our text styles, the bold and underline, which we would like to have in every document, consistent and useful, so that the system knows to underline. These are just capabilities that we do on paper. We need that same capability in every document that we create. And we have addresses, phone numbers. We have units of measurements that we would like to get in for every value. And what is it? Is it a person? Is it 12 people or 12 cars or 12 apples or 12 employees? It would be nice to be able to search and parse these kinds of information. And qualifiers, what's the range of this number? You said it's a number, and it would be nice to know what its purpose is and its classification. So this is used as an index. This is somebody's age or whatever the value represents. We want all this information available within the editor. So capable doesn't have to be in there. Just have to our technology that we want to. You're saying artificial intelligence. What I'm saying is we have to get this information in there. Otherwise, we're just making guesses. And we got to quit making guesses and assumptions. And we have URLs, file names, and graphics, and music, and all kinds of information that is very specific and very parsable. And then we have other technology-specific information and logic. So mathematics has its own two-dimensional character representations, physics, chemistry, chemical equations, molecules, programming has its own technology and information and logic character representations that we want to put on paper. And banking and restaurants and cars. And so everybody has different information, different reasons that we want to visualize it. And that's what we want to put in our text. But we also want that knowledge to be known to the computer. So is this artificial intelligence? We have 8 billion people, and we have 8 billion different needs for any piece of logic. So an editor, procurement, billing, all of these things are the same, and yet implemented different by every person on there. So if you ask a person what blue means, they're going to give you a different answer or a different reason. That's on my car, or that's, sky, or whatever. Our software should never make assumptions on use, should never have a purpose. That's what the people are for. They have a purpose for doing what they're doing. Right now, I have to use 3 different products just to do spell check. It's software. Who cares what you call it? It's just our computers are doing a function for us. And whatever it is, it must be trusted. And it must be secure. And information should be owned by the creator. Right now, it's not. Everything is in proprietary data formats, which means you don't own it anymore. Somebody else took ownership of it and will give it to you only through their product. Word, Excel, Oracle, databases, and every other product out there. How do you get to an image? How do you get to a web page? We only have one browser, which is ridiculous. So information must be shareable. It's not now. So if you want to get to artificial intelligence, we need to fix these issues, and we can only do that by our representation of knowledge. And it needs to be forward and backward compatible, information and logic. So logic is information, but forward and backward means I could have done this like version 1 or when I first wrote it 20 years ago, and I made changes to it. It still works, and in the information and the logic, and it should be 100 years from now, it still should work on the information that we change. It's software. We can do this. This is not hard. And information and our logic must last forever. There is no reason why it can't. And information and logic is a technology. It means it doesn't have a single purpose. A number is a number, and it should be a technology, not our current application of our hardware instruction set, which uses a fixed binary bit number representation. It's not ours. It's very limited. And that's if numbers were a technology, we would be able to represent any number, no matter how big. So we do not want an application where everybody must do it this way, or hardware instruction set. Everybody must do it this way. No, we need to get past this 270-year-old technology of computers and move forward. Instead of calling it artificial intelligence, I just want to call it our assistant. So the assistant does what it can for you. So a computer, what can it do for you? Well, it can bring you the ingredients and utensils you need for the job you're doing. Okay? Doing your job. So you're going to do your job, and if you're a baker, the ingredients and utensils would be the flour and the sugar. So if he's baking a cake, the assistant would bring to you the flour and the sugar and the utensils. And if you're a doctor, the assistant, the computer, would bring you the patient records, his history, link up to the databases and to the pharmacies and everything else, and to all the equipment and scheduling and. And our assistant remembers everything. And it's on your machine. Means that we do not need someone else running our job. The job should be right there on my machine. Security, security, security. And it should cost nothing. We do this once. It's done for everybody on the planet, 8 billion of them. And it should be identical for everyone. And it only obeys you. So the assistant does not tell you how to do your job unless you ask him. And if the assistant goes to work for someone else, he does not tell his new boss how to do things. That's what a good assistant is a good assistant. We know what that is. So everyone has his own assistant. The assistant never has a purpose. His purpose is to stand there and wait for you to tell him what to do or what you're going to do. I need a new muffler for a 1990 Chevy pickup truck. Assistant, go find one for me, order it for me, or whatever we could tell the computer to do, whether it's through the keyboard, through the mouse, talking into a microphone, using a form. It doesn't matter how we get the instructions in there. Everybody's going to have a different way and method and an approach to doing their own job. People know how to do their job. We just don't know how to use the computer. We can get rid of that. And so the assistant has access to all information, logic, and source code. We have to have a source code so that we know exactly what our computer is doing. And so the assistant wants access to all the hardware, all the logic, and all the source code of the hardware. So there is no limitations on what we can do with our hardware. It's on every computer. So every computer has access to every other computer. So basically you don't do anything. You don't have to get any of the values or any of the logic. It's already there available for you. And again, it costs nothing. If we do this once, we do it properly. And finally, our little assistant must obey the 3 laws of robotics. This is not AI. It's just programming. We can call it an assistant or whatever you want to call it. So it's doing databases and it's doing compiling and editing and graphics and music and every other thing. So you buy the hardware. This is what I want to get to finally, which is you buy the hardware. And you install your own software on your phones or cars or airplanes or doorbells or whatever hardware you buy. You just buy the hardware as a chunk of metal or whatever it is, and you install your own software. So you tell the assistant, I got a new phone, put my software, what I want, how I want my phone to work, my own security on the phone, my own security on the car. And the cars, I was looking at NASA's flight control system, and they wrote a 287-page document on how bad our software, the reason our software is bad for flight control systems. And so I researched it a little bit. And I went to Grumman, a company that builds flight control systems apparently, or the subsystems. And they said there's only like 483 subsystems on any aircraft, period. And the same way with a car. There's only so many things. You can have backup cameras and forward cameras and do all these things. It's not a huge job. We don't have that much logic, really. And so you as the boss have absolute control on the information, logic, the source code, the hardware, and security. If we do this, then every computer out there is going to be different. So that you talk about not hacking, you talk about security, you're talking about nobody's going to do it if everybody's computer is different. So you create your own assistants if you wish. Basically, if you're a company and you have accounting over there, and so you can put your accounting system as one assistant. Its job is only to do accounting. That's it. Or operations or sales, or everybody's job is different, and so you as a company can supply, and that way they have no access to anything. So it's kind of like an air gap between all of your systems. And so you can create your own operating systems, your own compilers, your own browsers, your own applications. Actually, this is all done for you by the assistant. Or you can create a school management system or a banking system or a flight control systems. Or you can find cat in a picture or large language models. It's just software. And you can call it what you want. To me, it's just software. So in reality, we can get rid of databases, client-server technology, file systems, cloud services, operating systems, proprietary formats, web servers, mail servers, and wasted time. I won't go into why I say this right now, but if these are all done by the assistant, transparent to you or anything else, independent of the hardware or any software that we have now, then do we really need? We could still use them. So, and you must have 100% confidence in your assistant. That's what we're after. And like I said, we can still use everything we have now. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm just saying we don't need to have them, these databases and client-server technologies. Change and access to all digital information at any time. So you can change anything. You can add new sort algorithms or new number formatting technologies, or whole new compilers or whole new operating systems, or whatever. So we should have no limitations on the size of anything. That's ridiculous. And no versions. So like I say, forward and backward compatible. There is no version. We can add capabilities at any time, and it basically it's one huge, infinitely large application. And the assistant is just one assistant, not our current technology of billions of independent applications that do not share information. And more importantly, we can improve all technologies independently, which is right now we're waiting for a better editor or a better database or a better Excel or a better, all of these things. I've been in this about 50 years and nothing's improved. I could still be on the key punch machine and write the programs that I'm writing. So all of our sciences, our teaching, our music, building, construction, manufacturing, medicine, emails, videos, programming, all of these things can improve themselves. So you have control of your fonts and the symbology and the language and the terms and the classification schemes, and you have access to all the information, every bit of information that exists digitally in the world. And what we put on paper, we'll be able to put in the computer. So we'll be able to do mathematics and chemistry and molecule diagrams and plant 3D plant manufacturing. Anyway, we can do, so if you want to call it artificial intelligence, it is. But to me, it's just a technology that we need to move to. We cannot use our current technology. Well, thank you very much. Kind of clears up my view on artificial intelligence. I'm pretty close to getting my system out. If I can do this alone, kind of frustrates me that we're not going anywhere. Anyway, well, thank you very much. Have a great one.